Hey everyone, and now we're moving on to shelf 30. And before we get on to the big one on here, we'll do the small one first. This one is a kind of a recent addition to the collection, Awkward Guests. Who's it do there? Megacorpin Games is the publisher on this one, but I think it's been done by several people. And this one is kind of like I suppose an underrated gem, maybe a hidden gem, but not a lot of people know of this or get a lot of buzz for it. But this is a pretty solid deduction game. The best way to describe this is that it's Cluedo done right. How did you want, when you played Cluedo as a kid, what was wrong with that game? The stupid roll and move mechanic and the fact that the mystery was kind of the same style of thing every time. But mainly that roll and move mechanic. Here, though, it takes the roll and move out, but it still gives you that Cluedo feeling. You've still got the murder in the study. Okay, so what do you do? Well, the idea is that you have a deck of cards that is unique every single game that creates a setting of who did the murder and how they did it and what was their motive. The idea is that you ask questions among the group because everybody is holding a set of cards that tells them specific clues about who done it and whatever, eliminates the wrong possibilities. And so by trading these cards with each other in these discussions, you find out more information while also giving away information. And it's a case of trying to figure out in Cluedo style, those three things, the motive, the weapon and the person. And it's obviously a lot easier than just simply coal mustard with the lead piping. It's more that you've got about 8 different characters, you've got a bucket load of different weapons, you've got a ton of motives, and you've got a map that you can see where you can go in and out of stuff. So you might draw a card that says the housekeeper said that nobody went between the lounge and the kitchen. And so you roll that out and realize, well, hang on a minute. That means that Mrs. Bernard couldn't go to get the spanner because the spanner's in that room. So if I know the spanner's the weapon, then Mrs. Bernard couldn't have done the murder. And you start piecing this stuff together in a really cool way. It's definitely brain burning and it takes longer than the game suggests it does. I mean, it says 45 to 75 minutes, that's wishful thinking. 2 to 8 players, I do not recommend going above 5. In fact, 4 is probably plenty, but 5's not bad. 6 to 8, and I think you'll be here for like 3 hours plus, it'd be ridiculous. But the solo mode is okay. I'm not as big of a fan of the solo mode in this, but if I want to play Cluedo and I've got 4 or 5 of us together, this is one that I like to pull out. Honestly, give it a look if you're into deduction games. You'd be pleasantly surprised. Okay, right. Which giant game first? Gonna have to lean back in my chair a little bit here. Right, recent addition to the collection. Woo! Mind Clash Games. Now, a bit of background on Mind Clash Games. I think they've only done 3 games to date. They got another one in the works, but Trickerion, Anachrony, and Cerebria, all of which are on the shelf. And this is the recent collector's version of Trickerion, number 4672 out of 8864. So I definitely went all out on this. But this is basically the best way to describe it is the Prestige, the board game. And if you don't know the Prestige, go watch that film. It's underrated. But it was basically about these rival magicians that were constantly trying to one-up each other, no matter how sort of unethical some of the things may be. I think it had it had Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, I think, in it. I think it's really, really good. But with this one, you are rival magicians again, and you're trying to impress everybody with your tricks, that you get your tricks, you level up, you get the parts for them, you find assistants to help you. It's a worker placement game in a sense. And you're performing at the theatre, but obviously everybody else is doing it, and they're getting in your way or nicking your parts, and not like directly off you, but they might go to the market and buy some easier than whether you go, because all the actions have a power rating, and the sooner you go to a spot, the more power your assistant will have, therefore the more actions you can do. So if you leave it too long, you don't do as much, or probably can't do anything at all. But of course, you've got to do a lot of different things, and everybody else also wants to do them. So it's very tense worker placement. But thematically, it's brilliant. I mean, with Mind Clash games, again, a bit like these, but more so Mind Clash, I would say these are better than these. These just create all that theme. Yes, they got to abstract a few things. I mean, the tricks are resembled by little markers that you put down on the card to say, oh, I'm performing at this theatre. But when you play it, you feel like that movie, The Prestige. And with Mind Clash games specifically, every game feels wonderfully thematic, 100% dripping with oozing theme. And as well as being a brain burner Euro, with mechanics that are complex. I mean, these are not the easiest ones to teach, although I'd argue I have a better time in Anachrony, but we'll get onto that in another episode. You know, these are just such fun games for me. It's giving me that heavy, challenging thinkiness with a solid theme. Enough of these trains, enough of these train in the Mediterranean, enough of these beige Euros or Terra Mystica like wannabes of like, they'll be put like weird shaped wooden pieces on a board and therefore that's theme. It's like, no, no, no. This one, love it. This is the collector's box with the expansion in it as well, Dalgard's Academy, which is a very good expansion actually, but don't use it in your first game. So you really want to get to grips with this game first before you use that expansion. And I don't even use the side expansion in this, which is Wizard Powers and, well, Magician Powers and the, what's it called? I think they're called Inventions or something. I don't even use those two modules because it's already a thinky enough game as it is. Do I need to make it any more complicated? Just get Dalgard's Academy and the, what do they call it? The back alley, that sounds dodgy. The dark alley, that's it. Yeah, put that in there as well because it's got some cool cards that you can use to boost actions. It's really, really good. But yeah, fun collector's edition. It's got all the bits and bobs in here. You know, I'm not going to get it all out because obviously I need to remember how to put it back in. But, you know, all the rules, all the things in there. Sleeves, boards, all game trays. It's got a lot of stuff in here. It's all pretty swanky. In fact, actually, if I get that, I might just be able to get that out. There we go. And at least show, maybe that board as well. Let's say thick boards. But as you can see, game trays. So anytime something's got game trays in it, it instantly makes it like just better in terms of production quality. But I just really get a kick out of this game. Now, is it my favorite of Minecraft stuff? No. I would say this is probably my, I'm going to say third favorite of them. And that's, I know that sounds bad, but these are games that I would rate a 9 minimum, if not a 10. Yeah, these are games that I love. So to say this is my least favorite of the three is basically like saying which one is my worst out of mint choc chip, salted caramel, and coconut ice cream. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, you give me any of those ice creams, I'm going to be in heaven. So I don't really mind saying it's my third favorite. It really isn't exact. It's like, it is the best, it's the third best of a fantastic bunch. Right. Speaking of which, whoo, now this is going to be another big one. Oh, gotta get it back. Now this is underrated. It doesn't get a lot of buzz because it is pretty complex to explain the rules. But when you get the hang of the rules, you basically need a solid teacher. You must get a good teacher for this game because if you try to learn it without a decent video or just not having honed the rule book, you struggle. It's very fragile in that respect. But I love Cerebria the Inside World for its, this is my second favourite of them. And it's, besides the artwork just being phenomenal in this, it's already good in the other two, but in this it's beautiful. It's kind of like playing the heavy Euro version of Inside Out, if you know that Pixar movie. If you've not watched that, go watch it. I know good movies. Some anyway. But with this one, it's like you've got the sort of the gloom, like negative emotions versus the positive emotions. And they're basically trying to up one each other in this dreamscape. And so all the positive emotions are trying to outbalance the other one. If you play with the expansion, you can have a third faction that's trying to balance the two. And that's quite a neat one as well. Again, not for your first game and not for amateurs. You need to be a professional knowing what you're doing with that faction. But straight up, you can play this 1v1, but you can also play 3-player in that if you have somebody controlling multiple emotions. The best way to play this, though, is 2v2 as a team game. 2 positive versus 2 negative emotions. And with this, again, I don't think there's much to show you. Well, maybe I can show you stuff on here, although I am a little bit concerned about what there's going to be on the back there. But yeah, look at that. Hopefully you can see it fine, but you've got, there's these plastic tower that you build, purple gems, cards and boards with beautiful artwork with some of the most surreal and weird looking creatures you've ever seen, regardless of whether they're positive or negative emotions. You could create a kids TV show out of this, I'm pretty certain. But everything looks sublime in this, and this is the Kickstarter edition, so as well as having all of that, it's also got in fact, I bought an insert for this apparently. Oh god, yeah, I did, Tom, I did to a buddy cat. Right, here we go. So yeah, big insert in there, so I really kicked this stuff out. But the reason I got that out is because I wanted to show you, can I get them out or are they stuck fast? Well, I think they're kind of stuck fast. Hang on. Give me a second. I might be able to wrench one out. Come on. Because I gotta be careful where I pick them up as well, though, because I nearly accidentally picked up the wrong bit, which would have really made me a sad panda if that had come out. And also, maybe I need to take a big box out first. Hang on, bear with me on this. Bear with me. There. Come on. This will be totally worth it. I hope. Right, here you go. These. It gave you painted miniatures for each of the, what they call like the kind of like the master emotions, the spirits, basically. You take a spirit like love or despair and you go around and plonk emotion cards down in various locations. You can trigger location abilities, but it's all about area control. So you're trying to like outbalance the other side of the emotions using your cards, stronger emotions, take control of specific locations, all at the time when scoring could take place at different points while filling objectives. But look at these. I mean, these are some lovely painted miniatures with all these like weird creatures on there. And you only use a few of them in each game because each person only needs one. But it's just such a nice thing to see on the board. Right, I'm not going to waste time on this video trying to put it all back in. I'm going to need more time for it. So, yeah, Cerebria and Trickerion, two fantastic thematic heavy games. And we got one more for Mind Clash, and then we move very briefly on to probably the main two games I like from Pandasaurus games. So until then, see you then. And, you know, hopefully this hasn't overwhelmed you, but if you're into heavy Euro games and you want something with a bit more theme, honestly, check out Mind Clash games. You won't regret it. Take care. See you next time.